Coming up next on Scale Auto Guy's Workbench, a kit that has been talked about a lot on the internet and how much of a failure it is. So I thought I would give it a try. Curious? Stay tuned. Welcome back. Yes, this kit, well, I've seen people successfully build it, and I've seen people not successfully build it, and so I thought I would give it a try. And that's the 57 Chevy Nomad made by Atlantis. I've heard some good stories about this kit. I've heard some bad stories, like I said. Now, I built this 57 Bel Air, and it was pretty challenging because it had opening doors and everything else. This car here, this kit I should say, has the same opening fixtures. The rear opens, the doors open, the hood opens, obviously. Now, this kit has 169 parts. You can build it either stock or custom. So it gives you parts for both of those. This used to be a Revell kit, and based on the stampings on the chassis, it was a Revell kit from 1985. So it's old, but it's not really that old when you think about it, I guess. Maybe 1985 doesn't seem that long ago for me. It may seem longer for others, but 1985 was a decent year. Let's put it that way. Well, first up, you have the body. Now, this does have quite a bit of flash and little tidbits that you have to remove. There's quite a bit of flash back here on the back end. Yeah, a little trimming here and there. Nothing too serious. I've seen plenty worse. But the body is straight. That's one of the things I liked about it. It's straight. It doesn't have a twist or a bend to it. And next up is a tree that has your doors, hood, all the hinges. Just like the Bel Air. You know, just glue the hinges to the doors, and yeah. Shouldn't be too difficult to get those doors to hang straight. Got a little tiny tree here, your seat back and floor panels. I'm guessing this floor panel is in lieu of if you don't want the back seat, maybe. I don't know. We'll figure that out as the build goes. It might be an optional thing. Here's your front and rear seats, and as you like the body, there's quite a bit of flash on it that needs to be cleaned off. Flash is a thing, you know. You're dealing with a mold that's pretty old, and flash is going to be there. It's just something we have to deal with. I just like to point it out to you guys so you know what you're getting into. A lot of guys don't want to deal with it, so they'll avoid a kit because it's got a lot of flash on it. It doesn't bother me either way. Here's some of your interior panels. Now, this is a multi-piece tub, so you have to build it. It doesn't give you a preformed tub. Wheel wells in the forward floor section for the interior tub. Here's your chassis. It does have a carpeted texture molded in, so everything's built up off of this. Again, more flash. That seems the theme for this car. Some of your suspension parts, steering wheels. Now, this can be built as a gasser if that's what you want to do. It does give you the parts for that. Here's your engine and exhaust parts. I'm not missing it. It fell off the tree. It's right here. This little part that goes here. This is the one of the inner wheel sections. And then it has, according to the direction sheet, and I didn't see those parts on any of the trees. Let me go back through them real quick. This is the only other wheel piece that I see, and I don't know if that's right or not, or if it goes the other way maybe. Yeah, it goes that way. So that's your inner wheel, well, the inner rim, I should say. So it's a multi-piece rim as well. So I got to make sure I don't lose that little part. Here's your front suspension, your stock suspension, I should say, and some engine parts, transmission. Excuse my voice, guys. It's allergy season, and it's been kicking my butt for the last couple of weeks. But I'm getting over it. But in the meantime, my voice has been kind of weird. Here's the dashboard. Typical 57 Chevy. Next up is your chrome tree. Gives you stock wheel covers and like chrome steelies, so you can do either or. There's some flash on this chrome too. You can see it around the headlight buckets. So that'll all have to be carefully trimmed off. Now the engine gives you several different choices. You can have the multi-port injection, or should I say just electronic fuel injection. I can't remember the exact title that it gave it, but it was fuel injection. Or you can have it carbureted, or you can have multi-carburetors. Get a choice of a stock grill or a custom grill. Next up is your windows. Have your rear side windows, windshield and rear window. Even comes with the vent windows. These are usually problematic for me. I usually have to fight with them a little too much, a little more than I care to. I get them installed, but they always fight me. And then your two headlight lenses. And these windows are kind of wraparound too, like they should be. So that's kind of nice. Next up is your decal sheet. It was so long it wouldn't fit in the box. So it's got a nice little curve to it. But it gives it for the sides, across the hood. Even gives you white walls. I've never had good luck with these. Usually when I try to apply these to the tires, they come off the sheet in pieces, not one piece, just multi-pieces. Even gives you Chevrolet emblems in gold. And the fuel injection logos. So it gives you everything. Nomad. The little flares that go on the fender up here. Last up for the parts are your tires. It gives you the provisions for the white walls to be on there on one side. I imagine you can probably flip them over and just go black wall if you'd like. Not much as far as tread pattern goes. It's just kind of a smooth. I don't know if I can get that to focus or not. There isn't a whole lot of tread pattern there. Very generic tires. And that's fine. Last up is your very detailed instruction sheet. This is multiple pages. 8 to be exact. And it gives pretty good detail on how to assemble the kit. So there we are. I am not considered a color, although the box art color is nice. I may do something different. I'm not sure yet. I haven't even really thought about it, but that will come to me in due time. In the meantime, we got a lot of sub-assemblies we got to get done, and we should get those done, then head over to the paint booth, lay down some primer, and hopefully by that time I'll have a color. All right, let's get started on this one. Alright fellas, while we're waiting for the clear coat to dry, I've got to put a couple more on there, but I just started the chassis work a little while ago, and I got the sides attached, the floor partially put in. I've got a piece of tape over this rear cover because it kept flopping open. I was waiting for it to just break off. But on the chassis, let me get these out of the way here. You start out with just this piece, the frame, and you put in the floor back here. That's when you put in your spare tire and your gas tank, and then you start doing your suspension, and they want you to do the front suspension first. That is a little tricky to do. The springs don't fit in there quite right. They don't line up right. What I had to do is I glued the cross member in first. Then I had to take this rubber band and put it around the frame rails to pull the frame rails into the cross member, and then clamp, using my clamps here, clamp this to the frame. And I still got to go in there and do some touch-up paint. Once that glue cured and that was in place, Then I could do the lower cross member with the control arms, and that's when you put your springs in. Well, I put the springs in the holes and I glued them in, and I waited just a little bit for the glue to set. Now, I didn't want it to set hard, but I did want it to set enough where it would hold the springs in. But they do not align with the indentations in the control arms. So what you end up with, I don't know if you can see that in there, the springs don't sit straight and even. They just kind of do their own thing in there. I don't know if you can really see it that well. I tried moving them around and prying on them and stuff, and I took this piece off 4 or 5 times to try to get the springs to, you know, reset them, and then try to get them to put it. They just never sat in there straight. Couldn't get them to do it. The pins for your, you know, you got to put these little caps on the spindles. The pins were like really long, and I had to snip those off. Then I had trouble getting the little caps on them, and oh yeah, it still functions. So as you can see, the wheels are somewhat posable. You can't adjust them very much, but they are posable. Not a big deal. The exhaust pipes, well, the muffler's glued down to the bottom of your chassis. There's 2 little blocks in there that you line them up on, and then you just slide your pipes in. The pipes attach at the mufflers, and I just put a little bit of glue down in this area here on each side to, you know, attach the pipes there. Otherwise they would just be flopping around with the only attachment point being up here. The shape of the exhaust pipes, this one was really kind of fat, and I didn't get it totally down to the right size, but you can see that it's at a totally different angle, and so that I'm going to have to do a little bit more work on that. The rear axle, well, I went with the lifting blocks. I wanted to jack up the back end just a little bit, but they also have lowering blocks that you can put, so you can put the springs down all the way to this point and put lowering blocks in here, so make it into like a lowrider if you wished to do that. You could do the same thing with the front end, because it has these pins here. If you put them up on this side, it changes the ride height. I went with a stock ride height on the front, and I jacked up the rear end just a little bit. Now, the plastic axle would not fit into place, and this popped off, and I got to re-drill it. But I had to actually drill the hole out, because the hole was not, it did not align, and it was too small anyway for that plastic axle to go in. So I'm going to have to get my drill out and re-drill that hole, because like I said, this popped off and I had to re-glue it, and I don't think I got it quite in the right position, so I have to re-drill that. These are some of the things you just have to look out for when you're doing this build. As you can see in the background here, I did get the engine finished, sort of. It's not totally done. I still have to do a little bit of fine detail painting on it. Everything's coming along, but this is a slow build. It's not something that you can knock out overnight. There's a lot of little parts that you have to kind of jiggle and wiggle to get together and things like that. But it is coming together. So I think the next step is something like the wheels and tires. We'll work on those here in just a little bit, and then we'll head back over to the paint booth. I got a couple more clear coats I want to put on the body, and that'll be finished up. and then on to the end. Alright, I'll see you in a little bit. Alright fellas, we're on to the tires. I've got everything, well, not everything out. I still have to get the two steelies there off the tree. But these wheels, I don't know how they could have made these any more complicated. And I know some of you guys that are putting this kit together or planning to put this kit together are going to struggle with this because the directions aren't very revealing. So it took me a minute. I played around with it, and this is what I came up with. So you have your tire, you have little inset grooves on each side. Okay, so your chrome wheel goes in one side, but it doesn't really fit. It kind of goes in there kind of, I don't know, weird. It doesn't really fit in there really well on either side. You look at the, it doesn't quite sit in there right. But once you get this ring here, now what was confusing to me inside this ring here, that you got a little lip inside there, and this piece here almost fits inside, but there's a problem. When you put it in, the way it's supposed to go towards the car, it doesn't fit in there far enough that you can put this into this and have it all sit flush. So then there's the pin, this little tiny pin. This side here sits like this. The pin goes in, and it's kind of stubborn. Okay, the pin is in there now. You see? The pin is in, and it goes like that. Well, that looks great so far, right? But how you get that to this, with this in the way, this just pops in here. And when you pop this in here, it locks that together. So it kind of goes like this inside the tire, forming a nice looking rim. Okay? The tricky part is getting this pin through that hole. Now, this is the only way, the best way I've found to do it, is it like that. It goes like that. So you can see the inner wheel. The only thing I can think of to do, maybe glue the piece here. Where'd that other one go? I had it here just a second ago. Misplaced it. Anyway, let's pull this back apart real quick. Glue this piece here in place, but be careful not to, because this pin has got to spin. So be careful when you glue this in place. Then put a dab of glue either inside the wheel here or on the very end of the pin, and then slide it all together. That is probably about the best way you're going to put that front wheel on. And then you got a hole that goes all the way through the wheel. It looks tacky. Well, that's when these little tiny spinners come into play. Those go on the outside of that wheel to cover up the hole. And that hole is in every one of these. So it took me about a good 10 minutes to figure out how all that went together. and the easiest way to do it. I tried doing it outside the wheel and then putting it on to the chassis, and it was difficult because it wanted to all fall apart. So if you do it this way, that's probably the easiest way to do it. Maybe, no, that can't glue on. Wow. This has got to spin with the wheel. But if you glue the pin, oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, this is a very, very bad design, to say the very least. I knew this car had issues, but that's how you do it, I suppose. Yeah, this is gonna have to be glued to that, and then just freewheel on top of this. Otherwise, your tire's not going to spin. If you don't care about your tires spinning, just glue the whole thing together, I guess. If you're one that likes your tires to spin, well, it's going to be a conundrum. But let me go ahead and get these wheels put on this thing. The backs I don't think are going to be as difficult because it has that axle that goes through, and the axle will just spin. So maybe that's what I need to do. I need to just glue this to that, leave the pin free, glue the pin inside the wheel so the wheel will spin. There we go. All right, I'll be right back after I get these on, and I'll let you know how it went. All right, fellas, I got the wheels and tires on and the engine mounted, and yeah, that doesn't look too bad. I even put the spinners on the centers there. Now, this drive shaft, when you put it in, it's just a touch too short by about, oh, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch, maybe an 1/8 of an inch. It just barely is holding on in there. And just a heads up on that. I don't know what you can do to adjust that other than, you know, just kind of hang it in there with a glob of glue and hope that it holds on. I did reshape this exhaust pipe on this side just a little bit. It doesn't match perfectly, but that's the closest I'm going to get it, so I'm just going to leave that alone. And the back wheels sort of roll, the front wheels not so much. But that's all right. It's just going to be sitting on a display stand anyway, and it doesn't matter. So the next couple of steps, the exhaust system, and then we start on the interior, and I still have to paint the seats. I don't have them totally done yet, and we still need to get over to the paint booth. So let me finish up this exhaust system. Just these two pipes need to go in, and then we can carry on from there. All right. Still got to paint those though. All right, fellas, moving right along. I got the interior completed. Got the firewall installed. Instead of going with the real crappy looking plastic shifter that came with the kit, I went with a straight pin that I trimmed and bent. Put that in. I do want to put a coat of floor polish over these flat areas on the seats, the blue. And I did all the trimming in with Sharpies and chrome pens. I did get the shock absorbers installed, which I didn't have previously done. And everything's coming right along. So, also, The steering with the tires on, it does go quite sharp. Before I had the tires on, I tried to turn them and it didn't look quite right. It didn't look like they went very far. But anyway, this is where we're at. Need to go over to the paint booth and put some more clear on this body, and then we'll start doing the chrome work and stuff like that on that. And I need to paint the inner fender wells. I did have them painted black, but I decided, because I went with the painted firewall, I wanted to put these on the car in, well, I'll get the right side here. I want to put these on with the matching paint job. I know that's probably, well, I know it's not stock, but that's what I want to do. I want to put them in there as the matching paint for the exterior. You know, just a little custom work, you know, whatever. But yeah, here we are. So let's head over to the paint booth. We're going to get some clear put on this body. I already have one coat on there. I want to put at least 2 more, and then we'll polish it up. Do some bare metal foil work. We're going to have a lot to do. These 57 Chevys take a lot of foil when you include that entire stripe and this big fin area back here along all the windows. It's going to take a bit of foil to do all of that. So let's get started. Alright fellas, here we are at the final. Psych. Not really. This is just a mock-up. I just got this out of the paint booth after the 3rd clear coat. And I didn't show you the 3rd clear coat because honestly, it's the same as the 1st and 2nd. Anyway, what I've been doing is I've went through with the paint and I've touched up like the door jambs and things like that, under hood. I kind of test fitted the rear outer door panel to the inner to see how that lines up and if I had to paint in. For some reason when I painted, nothing got on the inside, so I had to paint around the edges on that, and I had to do, like I said, the door jambs and a few other little body touch-ups that you're not going to see, but I just wanted to make sure that they were covered with the appropriate colored paint. So I just kind of set the body down onto the chassis to see how it would look, and so far it's looking pretty good. Now we're going to be doing the bare metal foil, and I think I'm just going to leave it as is. It's pretty shiny as it is. I don't think I need to polish this one. So we'll set that aside and we'll get started on the bare metal foil. Alright fellas, I got the bare metal foil all done. And I didn't want to shoot video of it because it took me about 2 hours to do all the chrome on that body, and including the tailgate. So yeah, it was quite a bit. You don't realize how much foil that you need to put on the body until you start putting it on the body, and then you're like, wow. But anybody that's done foil work knows that this takes a long time, especially when you cut in all around all the windows and the side stripes, around the wheel wells, around the front window. I didn't do the back window yet. I still have to paint the frame and I forgot to paint that when I painted the rest of the car, so I gotta shoot some white paint on that. This pile of foil over here is the scraps. There was one thing that I don't like about bare metal foil, and it's really a minor thing. On the edges, it usually doesn't stick down real well, so you end up losing a strip the full length of the sheet, about 1/8 of an inch thickness, width I should say. You miss an 1/8 of an inch on each side. You just cut it off and throw it, because it does not stick to anything. I don't know why. The glue just doesn't stick. So there you are. Let me get that window frame. Oh, I didn't get the door handles. I forgot to do the door handles, but I'll get those in a minute. And we're almost finished up with this. We've got to do the windows and just put the front and rear bumpers and such on, and we're golden. So let me go ahead and get all that stuff knocked out. All right, fellas, I went ahead and decided to go and show you some of these final assembly problems. First of all, if you're going to have a manual transmission in your car, the way this steering shaft is set up, it's got a little notch on the shaft end, and then there's a corresponding hole in the dashboard. I went ahead and drilled that out because the steering wheel stuck out about that far, which is ridiculous. And with the way that tab is set up here, this is over on this side like it's a gear shift. So in order to make that, I turned that into a turn signal, albeit a large one. I had to drill out that hole, and then I just pushed the the steering column all the way down into the dash. As you can see, I got my bare metal foil on the dash, and I highlighted the gauges with the silver. Oh, let me get this in focus here so you can see it better. Highlighted the gauges with the silver pencil, and put the tachometer on there as well. I'm going to touch that up here in a minute. So that was one of the things that I discovered that you may want to do on yours. Drill that hole out in the dash so that the steering column will fit all the way down in there. Now, I got the door panels on. I got the side glass and the windshield in. The windshield does not fit very well. There's gaps in there, and I pushed that up there as far as I could get it. And that windshield just does not fit very well. I've got the inner fender well on the passenger side there. When you go to put these in, clean this area here. Here, this little tab goes up into this area here. And then I also cleared a little area on the side so that when you, these doors flop open so easily, so when you glue this in, got to get it going in the right direction. I just glued it along this edge here, and a little dab of glue on this edge here, so that when you pop that down in place, it'll be glued in this area and up here, and that should be plenty of glue surface to keep that in place. Now I still need to do the side glass in the back, and I still have to get over and paint this window frame, but Just wanted to show you guys some of the assembly. Like I said, that windshield, I pushed it up in there and it just kind of, it's too big for the opening, so it kept popping out. I hope that it doesn't have an issue with the dash going in, because the dash has got to go in there next. It does not show clearly how that mounts, the dash mounts in there. There are no pins or any such thing. And oh, these pedals are a pain in the butt too, just to give you a heads up. So I'm not sure if it glues on the ends like normal kits do. This is kind of a new one to me, putting it in there like this. I have done a couple of kits like this, but I don't remember how I did them. I think it just glues in kind of, well, I had it there for a second. Kind of like that. So I'm guessing that the attachment points will be on the end here where it wraps around. That's the only logical place that it could go. So make sure that those areas, I painted mine, but make sure that they're clear on this bend and this bend. Okay, I'm going to let those pedals set up a little bit longer and get this driver's side fender well in there. Now I put a bottle of paint back here to keep that at a kind of a preset angle so I don't have to fight with it. So like I said, I just put a little glue on this edge, a little bit up in here, and a little over here. And then go front end in first, and then set it down in place. And that's just about it for the inner fender wells. I'll get that dash in a minute. I may have to come in here and do a little touch-up painting. And it calls for the radiator to go in next, which I think I have over here somewhere. Yeah. Somewhere in that general location. Alright, let's let that glue cure. And like I said, I'm going to get this dash in just a moment. So I'll be right back. Alright fellas, I went ahead and put the body onto the chassis after I put the dashboard in. And it's a good thing I did it now instead of waiting until the glue cured on that dash. Because when I put that in there, this little area that's at the back of the firewall here, well, that goes into the passenger compartment, and the dash did not want to clear that when I first put the body on there. I had to take my knife there and kind of push on the dash to kind of bump it up until it cleared and I could set the body down. So I'm gonna wreck this thing. I got the side windows glued in. I'm gonna have to take this back apart to get the tape off the windows, but I've got everything set. I'm just gonna leave it like this for a while, let that glue cure, then I'll take it apart, take the tape off the side glass. You can probably see that on the side glass. And then I'll do the finishing touches on it. At this point, I think that I just can't go any further, so I'm going to wait until probably, I'll just give it overnight and get back on it in the morning, and let's see if we can get it into the final. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Welcome to the final on this 1957 Chevrolet Nomad by Atlantis. Well, This kit certainly lives up to its reputation. It has quite a few little quirks, but nothing that can't be overcome with a bit of effort, a little swearing, and some determination. So let's start at the beginning with a little history on this kit. This Atlantis 57 Chevy Nomad is a re-release of the classic Revell tooling originally issued in the early to mid 1960s. The molds that originated from Revell, with the design dating back over 50 years to the era of early Parts Pack and Ed Big Daddy Roth. It captures the iconic two-door station wagon with 169 parts and features an opening hood, detailed small block V8, hinged rear tailgate, and comes with both stock and custom build options. Overall, this kit is not for the faint of heart, in my honest opinion. Most of the parts on the chrome trees have flash that you have to carefully trim just for the parts to fit, and that's just the start. The design of the rear of the body is such that it had spread out and had just enough warp in it that on a final assembly I had to actually wrap a rubber band around the fins in the rear in order for the body to conform to the chassis, and I had to leave it like that until the glue cured. And it doesn't, well, the rear bumper doesn't sit on there quite right. You notice that there's a gap on the passenger side where there isn't on the driver's side. That's just the nature of the kit. Now the rear window in the frame, the one that pops up in the back there, it has a large gap at the top, and the window will close to the inside of the car, and it's kind of difficult. You can't really stick your finger in there and pull it back out because of the way the window pendulizes. Is that a word? Anyway, the way it swings, your finger, if you have big fingers like I do, it'll trap the window in place. So you have to kind of hold the car and kind of shake it, you know, bottom down, well, rear end down, to get the window to kind of pop back up into the frame where you can close it. Other than that, the tailgate itself fits well, so that's kind of weird. The doors fit decently, but they're prone to pop open easily, especially the driver's side. Now the passenger side will kind of click shut, the driver's side will not, and you notice the gap there. That door will not close all the way like the passenger side does. Now let's move on to the suspension. I'm glad that I used the rear shackle, because otherwise that rear end would be sagging right now. Instead of the car sitting level, it would be sitting a bit lower in the back end. This build actually, for all of its little quirks and things, it turned out fairly nice. You know, especially being cast from molds that are over 50 years old. If you have the patience and the time to spend massaging the body into the correct shape, you too can build this into a pretty good looking car. Now I didn't have any issues as far as paint and doing the foil. Everything was kind of crisp and clear on that realm. Everything kind of went together really well. The windshield didn't really fit that well. It's hard to see it from these angles, and that's great, but when you look from the inside you can see the gaps. So for a kit that's over, you know, comes from a mold that's over 50 years old, it does present itself pretty well when it's finished. Now I also decided to go with black wall tires, and I don't really like those white wall, or yeah, the white wall tires when they come in a decal form. I can never get those to go on without falling apart. So I always, every time I see them, I just kind of ignore them. But you know, this thing would really look better, and I wish it would have had a few more options for wheels, because I think it would have looked better with a set of Craig or Super Sports, or maybe some Keystone Classics. The kit only gives you the reverse steelies there, or stock hubcaps, which are okay, but I think it would have looked better with something a little different. I guess in the end, this kit wasn't really as bad as I had heard. I did have some issues, but most kits do these days. In the end, I think this car will look great sitting on the shelf with the rest of my 57 Chevys, and I do have a few. Well, another great build is done. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider giving it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you have any questions or comments, please write those in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to respond as soon as possible. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, or you can drop me a line at scaleautoguy@gmail.com. If you want more videos like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button below and ring the bell so that you'll be notified when I post new videos. Thanks for watching Scale Auto Guy's Workbench, and I'll see you on the next build.